A king mocked God during a royal feast. Then suddenly, a mysterious hand appeared and began writing on the palace wall. The king's face turned pale. His knees trembled in fear. And before the night ended, an empire would fall forever.
The handwriting on the wall, Daniel 5:5-31. Long ago, the mighty kingdom of Babylon ruled much of the known world. Its massive walls, golden palaces, hanging gardens, and powerful armies made it one of the greatest empires in history. Babylon appeared invincible, but behind the luxury and power was a dangerous pride.
Years earlier, God had humbled the great Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar II after he exalted himself above heaven. According to Daniel chapter 4, verses 33-37, Nebuchadnezzar lost his sanity and lived like an animal until he finally acknowledged that the Most High God rules over all kingdoms. After his death, another ruler arose in Babylon. His name was Belshazzar. Unlike Nebuchadnezzar, Belshazzar did not learn from the past, and in one night, his pride brought terrifying judgment upon the entire kingdom. Daniel chapter 5 begins with a massive royal feast held by King Belshazzar. King Belshazzar prepared a luxurious banquet for 1,000 of his nobles. The palace overflowed with celebration. Wine flowed freely. Music filled the halls. Laughter echoed through the palace chambers. The nobles ate and drank carelessly, while Babylon's enemies surrounded the city outside. But Belshazzar felt secure. Babylon's walls were enormous. Its defenses were strong. Its people believed no army could conquer the city. As the king drank more wine, pride and arrogance took control of his heart. Then he made a terrible decision. Years earlier, when Babylon conquered Jerusalem, King Nebuchadnezzar had taken sacred gold and silver vessels from the temple of God. These holy items had been dedicated for worship in the temple at Jerusalem. But during the feast, Belshazzar commanded that those sacred vessels be brought into the party hall. Servants carried them into the room. The king, his wives, his concubines, and his nobles began drinking wine from the holy cups that belonged to the house of God. Then matters became even worse. As they drank, they praised gods of gold, gods of silver, gods of bronze, gods of iron, gods of wood, and gods of stone. Inside that palace, human pride openly mocked the God of heaven. But suddenly, everything changed. Without warning, a human hand appeared. Not a full person, not an angelic figure, only fingers. Fingers appeared near the lampstand and began writing on the palace wall. The room instantly fell silent. The music stopped. The laughter disappeared. Every eye stared at the supernatural hand, writing mysterious words into the plaster wall of the king's palace. The Bible says the king's face turned pale. Terror filled him. His body trembled violently. His knees knocked together in fear. This proud ruler, who moments earlier mocked God, now stood helpless before a message from heaven. No army could protect him. No wealth could save him. No false god could explain the writing. The king screamed for his wise men, astrologers, and magicians. He offered rewards: purple royal clothing, chains of gold, and authority as the third highest ruler in Babylon. But there was one problem. None of them could read the writing. The entire palace sank deeper into fear and confusion. As panic spread through the palace, the queen entered the banquet hall. She reminded the king about a man from the days of Nebuchadnezzar, a man filled with wisdom and the Spirit of God. His name was Daniel. The queen told Belshazzar, "There is a man in your kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy gods." She explained how Daniel had interpreted dreams and solved mysteries during Nebuchadnezzar's reign. Immediately, the king ordered Daniel to be brought before him. As Daniel walked in, the noisy banquet hall becomes silent and fearful. Terrified nobles stared at the glowing words on the wall. And then Daniel entered calmly. Unlike everyone else in the room, he was not shaken. Belshazzar promised Daniel riches and power if he could interpret the writing. But Daniel answered boldly, "Keep your gifts for yourself." Daniel was not interested in rewards. He had come to deliver God's message. Then Daniel began reminding the king about Nebuchadnezzar. He explained how God had given Nebuchadnezzar greatness, glory, and power. But when Nebuchadnezzar became proud, God humbled him until he acknowledged that heaven rules over all. Then Daniel spoke directly to Belshazzar. His words cut through the room like a sword. He declared, "But you, Belshazzar, have not humbled yourself, though you knew all this." This was the king's greatest sin. He knew what happened to Nebuchadnezzar. He knew the warnings. He knew the power of God. Yet he still chose pride and rebellion. Daniel accused him of lifting himself against the Lord of heaven and dishonoring the sacred vessels of God. Then Daniel turned toward the mysterious writing on the wall. The words written were Mene, Mene, Tekel, Parsin. The palace waited in fearful silence. Then Daniel gave the interpretation. Mene, meaning, God has numbered the days of your kingdom and brought it to an end. Babylon's time was over. Tekel, meaning, you have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. God had examined Belshazzar's heart and found him spiritually empty. Pares, or Parsin, meaning, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. The empire of Babylon was about to fall. Not someday, not years later, that very night. After hearing the terrifying judgment, Belshazzar still rewarded Daniel with royal purple clothing and chains of gold. But the judgment of God had already been spoken. Outside the city, the Medo-Persian army was waiting. According to history and biblical tradition, the invading army diverted the Euphrates River that flowed beneath Babylon's walls. As the river level dropped, enemy soldiers entered through the river passages beneath the city defenses. While the palace feasted, while the nobles drank, while Babylon celebrated, the enemy entered silently. Daniel chapter 5 ends with shocking simplicity. That very night, Belshazzar, king of the Babylonians, was slain. And Darius the Medes, who was 62 years old, received the kingdom as the new king. And just like that, the mighty Babylonian Empire fell. The kingdom that seemed untouchable collapsed in a single night, exactly as God had written on the wall. And the fingers disappeared, the music stopped, the feast ended, and the kingdom of Babylon fell forever. The writing on the wall had spoken, and heaven's judgment could not be reversed. Lessons from the story. 1. Pride can destroy even the strongest kingdom. Babylon looked invincible, but pride brought it down. 2. God sees what people hide behind power and luxury. Belshazzar celebrated publicly, while judgment was already approaching. 3. Ignoring past warnings can lead to destruction. Belshazzar knew Nebuchadnezzar's story, but refused to learn from it. 4. God's judgment may come suddenly and unexpected. The king believed he had more time, but his final night had already arrived. Earthly power cannot stand against the authority of God. Babylon's walls, wealth, and armies could not stop heaven's decree. Thank you for watching and learning with me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more amazing Bible stories.